one of the illest women that I have the pleasure of knowing. Devi Brown is here today. Thank you so much for being here, sis.
So happy to be here with you.
Thank you. Oh Lord, I'm already about to cry. Okay, we just got here. But Devi Brown is the founder of Devi Brown Wellbeing and a master educator and healer. And today we are really gonna get into this wellness conversation and even do an experience, a meditation experience. So y'all, I'm telling you now, I might cry. It's okay to cry. It's all about the journey of wellness and healing. And so I'm so excited to have you here today. How are you?
I am feeling deeply, deeply well.
Ooh. Deeply well. We're starting there. And so, you know, this area of life is a trend where a lot of people are like, you know, wellness, soft girl life, soft girl era. That is the vibe that we all aspire to get to, right? The healed plane, the version of us that is ourselves. But in your personal journey is our best selves. But in your personal journey, how did you come to this place of transformational healing and emotional wellness in your own journey?
Gosh, you bring up such an important point that I'm really excited to talk about with everyone because, you know, it would appear, especially after the pandemic, that, you know, wellness is a trend or that, you know, like being your highest self is like, it's become this trend. It's become this kind of declarative statement, very similar to 10 years ago when it was like girl boss era. And everyone was like, girl boss, girl boss.
Yes.
Now everyone's like soft life, soft life. And we all deserve soft life. We should all feel it. Everyone is worthy of a soft life with ease, with gentleness, with grace. But it requires an immense amount of work to get there.
Sure it does.
It truly does. And that's the piece that I think is really important for those that feel called to start exploring that. Like you're longing for it because it's your birthright. Like being able to just be an acceptance of self and life. It's your birthright. But to get there, you have to have a devotional practice. You have to have the steps. You have to have the time spent with self that actually allows the tenseness in your body to release. That begins to get you comfortable with sitting like this and closing your eyes and breathing deeply. You know, the things that seem so simple are actually the things that we have to sit with and be in practice with so we can embody them and actually in our day-to-day lives feel that sense of softness.
That is such a great point. I think no one talks about how the beauty of wellness and self-love and all of that, the idea is beautiful, but the journey on the way to it is ugly and hard, and it makes you meet parts of yourself that you might not have even wanted to admit we're there. And so, you know, look, how much time we got? But no, I think, you know, just for the purpose of today, for anyone who might not know how you got started before we start, like, what is the Devi Brown well-being journey? Tell us a little bit about how you got to this point in your career or calling.
Deeply my calling. I feel not as connected to a career train in this moment. I will say I want to start with my baseline because I can talk about some of the bigger like career journey, the transitions, but I was always a really deeply intuitive child who was fascinated by human transformation. Little girl, grew up in and all around LA, so not to the extent we have now, but there was always really interesting things happening around that kind of connected me with a longing for knowing more about wisdom traditions and knowing more about Eastern medicines. So that was kind of my baseline, and when I thought about what I wanted to be when I grew up, I was split between wanting to be someone in broadcasting and wanting to be a psychologist.
Yes.
So those were the two areas that I was always drawn to. I wanted to specifically work with children. But I found myself for 15 years with a career in media. I had a chance to work with some amazing people in some amazing places. I worked at MTV, I worked at SiriusXM for iHeartRadio. I had radio shows in a few different cities. You know, and the thing that I loved about that life was I got to use my voice in service to others, and I got to connect with people. You know, there was nothing that felt better for me than someone calling up on my show and saying they felt heard or seen, or they could hear my smile coming through the airwaves. That's you know, And then I decided, this world and meditation has been a part of my life for a really long time. And it wasn't something when I began that journey that a lot of people understood. And very often when I would try to talk about it, I'd be going to these retreats. This is like 10, 15 years ago. I'd be the only person my age, the only woman of color in the rooms. But I was really drawn to learn everything about it with a lot of depth. I knew I was meant to teach. I tried to talk about this with a lot of people, and people would be like, "What, girl? Oh, okay, you like rocks?" Or,
Not rocks.
"Oh, girl, okay, so you being quiet," and people don't understand, and so they want to make things small or make things, different. Yeah. So this was the truth of my personal life for a very long time. And at a certain point, and it was really around like 2015, 2016, I just realized I was kind of on the red carpet circuit and doing a lot of interviews. And I remember I had a boss come in. I was also in charge of our community actions department. And I remember I had a boss come in, and I was talking with a very well-known artist about depression. And we were talking about suicide ideation. And I remember that boss told me that I couldn't air that interview because it was too depressing. No one wanted to hear it. And why didn't I ask the famous celebrity about who they were dating? And by then I was 15 years into my career, and I remember just saying, I'm done. That's not how I want to use my voice. I understand that I'm not a fit for what this is. But let me find other ways to use the gift, find other ways to communicate that's in service in the way I want it to be in service.
I love that. And now we have the Devi Brown Wellbeing, all of it all. And now, you've been doing this work for such a long time. And especially during the pandemic, I know a lot of us looked to you for, guided meditations and, your lives and the things you were doing. We connected a few times during the pandemic on IG Live, which I loved those conversations. But there are a lot of Black women, again, who, outside of the trend of it, are looking to start their healing journey and want to begin somewhere. What do you say to the Black women and our community especially? What are some things that you see that are trends of where our anxiety starts? What are the issues that you are seeing, especially within the self-esteem realm, and just making sure that we have confidence, building confidence? What are some trends that you've seen there?
Ooh, that's loaded.
Yeah, it's a lot. But this episode is about love, self-esteem, self-confidence, beauty, all those things. So, and more really in the inner and outer beauty of it all. Like, what are some ways that you've seen people struggle with knowing their inner beauty and outer beauty?
I want to start by saying everything that I'm sharing is from my experiences and my experiences working with others and observing over the course of many years. But of course, nothing is a monolith. So if it resonates, it does. And for some, it won't. But, I think especially when it comes to women of color, the way that some of the things that I'm really excited about that I'm seeing is this deep desire for new access to vulnerability. There is this desire to have deeper intimacy with self, with a lover, with a partner, with a friend, in ways that I think we haven't seen. We have come out of this very interesting groove of living social media 24/7 for the last 10 to 15 years, right? And we didn't really know what we were signing up for when we first, got our IG pages all those years ago. And it's become such a piece of how we've transitioned to communicating with people and understanding people. And it's really robbed us of depth of connection.
Yes.
So I'm noticing that a lot of people are really desiring to stop performing, whatever that means for each of us, right? Because we can perform in a multitude of ways. You can perform in general by playing all these different roles for all the different people in your life. I'm the strong one for her, I'm the child to them, I'm the this to them, I'm the boss, I'm the this, and we are just spread so thin, trying to perform and be for each person whatever we think they want us to be, right? When we do that, there is no connection to the authentic self, the version of us that came to this earth to live its purpose, to love, to serve. So I'm noticing that, especially in the pandemic, that disconnection, that space away, created a real craving in everyone to say, but who am I really? Without the job title, without this announcement post I'm putting up, without all of the photos where, we've learned to not smile for real, we just instantly go,
right.
Like all of these things we've perfected for perception. We're actually realizing that, in some ways we might have enjoyed it, but in other ways there's a deep desire to not keep doing that.
Yes.
And that's what this work really is. So whether we call it wellness, whether it is a devotional practice in church, whether it is seeing a therapist, meditating, all of those are tools and avenues and pathways to get the same desired outcome of, can I just be me? And can that be enough?
Preach! Can I just be me, and can that be enough? I love that. I love that. Okay, we're about to get into our practice for today.
Yes.
But before we get into that, because I really think it's so important that we get into why meditation matters to the practice. And just for people who are like, I want to meditate, but I have 300,000 tabs open in my brain.
Yeah.
There's no way I can start. What would you say about the importance of meditation? And again, how do if I'm a person that's never meditated before, what should I do? Where should I even start?
I am so grateful for this question because I think meditation is very often something that seems so out of reach for everyone, and it's very literally the most simple thing. Like I'm saying, sit down, be quiet, close your eyes. That's it. It's free, right? It's free. You can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
But when we have lived lives that have very often included traumatic experiences, complex trauma, if it's included minimizing ourselves in any ways, the idea of being slower is terrifying.
Yes.
The idea of closing your eyes, especially if others are present in the room, feels truly very stressful and scary. And so I think the first piece of beginning a meditation practice is coming into some acceptance around the fact that it's something you're learning just like anything else. So you're not going to know yet. You're not going to know how to do it perfectly. You're not going to do it for an hour without thinking, right? But if you can do 2 minutes, or if you can just close your eyes and say, yeah, I notice that I'm thinking, and that's okay too. That's the first part. So a lot of triggers can come up when we begin meditating because you're slowing, you're getting quiet, your eyes are closed. The more you practice, and that's why meditation is called a practice, you're not going to get it perfect. You're not going to get it right away. And you're not supposed to. I look at meditation as kind of my life's companion and this living, breathing organism that's always changing. When I started my practice, I struggled through 5 minutes. I've been practicing meditation every day for over 10 years, and now I can do 2 hours at a time. So it's these things that you are just creating more space inside of yourself. So the most important thing to get started with meditation is to find an area that you feel comfortable being with yourself.
Yes.
Make it your own. So we created right here this beautiful space where this is kind of what I would do at home. I have crystals that are close that I really enjoy using for meditation, like this one. This one is selenite, and it's really good for transmuting negative energy. That is the belief when working with this crystal, and that it helps to purify energy. So I would usually get some crystals out. I would get candles because inviting in different elemental energies like wood with this ankh, fire with candles, a little more of nature. You can think of this as soil. This is sage I grow in my garden, crystals. Having things near you that naturally calm your nervous system and help you feel at ease is really important. Get other things to do the work for you so you can just start to disarm little by little. So you set something up, make it beautiful for yourself, make it a little romantic, it makes it more of a treat for you and less of something that you feel like you're not disciplined enough to do. The second we invite in self-judgment or any kind of lack mindset, we get in the way of the work that God wants to do in us. Amen. We get in the way of the work that we can very easily move through. So you'd set the stage, make it beautiful. get something supportive that feels good. Right now we're using a back jack.
Yes, I've never had this before. This is nice. I'm actually very comfortable, and I'm usually not in this position. And I love that we're using that. I, at my home, usually just like start prayer and meditation from my couch, put incense on and my worship music, and just journal and then sit. And for me, again, we're entrepreneurs. Our minds run 100% of the time. That helps me to just kind of let go of the day and start to speak to God and then hear what God has to say too.
Yes.
And I love that you said the importance of setting up something that feels, like you're inviting yourself in, you're inviting, your practice into that day. So I'm excited to get started. Walk us through what we're gonna do today, what I'm gonna do today, and y'all gonna watch.
So we're gonna start with a really nice kind of beginner's meditation. The meditation I wanna do today, which I think if you are joining us at home in this practice, this is an invitation to reconnect to your body, to reconnect to what the inside of you feels like. I like to call this experience kind of a glimpse of the soul, because it's reminding you where all of your parts are and how much power you hold inside. So we're gonna do really a traditional meditation body scan. So first, you're already seated. I wanna invite you to just notice how your body feels while you're seated. So if your legs wanna be either a little looser or a little more tucked.
Sorry, y'all. I'm getting used to it. Hold up. my foot already fell asleep.
And this is part of the journey too. It's noticing our body's natural responses and just kind of breathing into the discomfort and finding new ways to feel comfortable.
Okay.
And again, there's no right or wrong way to do this. So you can sit, this is a little more of a traditional view of how you may have seen meditation, but it can really just, sometimes I'm just like this,
Yes, like I feel like right now this is the most my knees and feet will give me.
Yes, perfect. And so now notice your spine, and it doesn't have to be so straight that it's uncomfortable, but I want to invite you to imagine almost like there is a string connected to the top of your head being pulled up. So you're just able to come into a little straighter alignment. Let your shoulders be back, down, and relaxed. Your hand position is perfect. Just let them fall at ease in an open position in your lap. And let your belly be soft. Don't worry about holding anything in. We want our breath to flow very freely. And now I want to invite you to just begin, Gia, to notice the breath in your body. Whatever breath feels comfortable at home for you, depending on your unique facial makeup, but it can feel really good if you focus on nostril breathing. So a gentle in and out, but very deep, not a shallow breath. Let it come in fully. In through your nose, out through your nose. And really allow a slow build to come in. So slow and full, in through your nose. Slow, measured and full, out through your nose. Notice your chest as it rises and falls. And now we're going to start a very gentle breathwork practice. This is an amazing breath that has been scientifically proven to really reset your system, to invite in more energy, more of a cleansing feeling, a relaxation. We're going to do what's called in the Western world a box breath to a count of 4 seconds each. So as we begin, it'll be an inhale through your nose for 4 seconds. You'll hold the breath at the top for 4. You'll release slowly through your nose for 4. Then you'll hold the breath at the bottom before, just like a square. 4, 4, 4, 4. So as you're in that, I want to invite you here to begin a deep breath in through your nose, and I'll count for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold that breath. 2, 3, 4. Slow release. 2, 3, 4, and hold at the bottom. 2, 3, 4. Continue that cycle, counting for yourself. In, and do that once again here, beginning your inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it. 2, 3, 4. Release. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 3, 4. Connecting now back to a breath that feels nourishing and natural in your body, in and out. Noticing your chest move up and down. Bring your awareness now to the very top of your head, your crown chakra. And just notice your head and begin to slowly scan down your face, past your ears, to your jaw. Allow it to become a little more loose and relaxed. Release your tongue. Now scanning down, notice your neck. And if there's any pressure you want to alleviate there, just have a gentle movement side to side. And notice your shoulders. There's an opportunity here to reposition, bring them back and down. Let them be strong but relaxed. And bring that awareness down your chest, passing your heart. Let your arms relax. Moving down to your sternum, noticing your stomach. Breathing in and out. Bringing that awareness now down to your hips. And if there's an opportunity to just melt a little more deeply into where you're sitting, so become a little more relaxed. If you're holding any tension in your hips, just let it soften and release. And letting that awareness flow down the tops of your thighs, noticing your knees relax, release, down your calves, down your ankles, the tops of your feet, the soles of your feet, your toes. And now as your body may be feeling a little more relaxed, a little more melty into the space that you're in, a little softer here, let yourself gently breathe in and out. And as we're in this space of calm, I want to invite in what is known as the 4 soul questions in primordial sound meditation. The style of meditation I learned from Deepak Chopra. Asking yourself the question, but not trying to fill it with an answer here. Silently repeating it to yourself. Who am I? Who am I? Again, there is no worldly answer to be met with that inquiry. You're just asking the question and creating the space for the answers to reveal itself over time. The next question is, what do I really want? What do I really, really want? What am I grateful for? What am I grateful for? And the final question, again reminding you do not have to fill it with an answer. How can I serve? How can I serve? Which can also be asked as, what is my dharma or purpose? What is my purpose? And how can I serve? Taking in another deep, full breath in through your nose here. And release. And if it feels comfortable, bring your hands into prayer position in the center of your heart. And allow the tips and the backs of your thumbs to connect right in the center of your chest. Calling in gratitude here for yourself, for giving yourself the opportunity to experience this moment of peace, of calm, of surrender. And you can bring your fingertips to your forehead center, taking a gentle bow. And allow yourself here to gently open your eyes, floating open. The light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. Namaste.
I did it right. That was beautiful. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I forgot where I was for a second.
How do you feel?
I feel good. I feel there were some things that came up during the questions. Like I noticed my heart, like clearly in a space of these are questions I'm asking myself on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And the answer is there, but it's revealing itself over time.
Yeah.
And I'm an impatient person.
Yeah.
Which is why meditation is so important. So I think like my body was like, or my mind was like, no, you need to know the answer, you need to know the answer. And so it helped to hear you say, breathe, like take it in for 4, out for 4. Like I tried to remember that when my body felt quickened to some of the questions.
I love that you're bringing that up because that is so valid and so real for all of us, especially when you're starting in a practice. And, you know, that piece is the piece that as we grow in our meditation practice, we get to let go this desire to control. We're raised and taught to do that, right? Because it's all about going after what you want, being clear, manifest this, vision board, know what you want. But when we're in spaces of evolving into more or becoming more, how could we know?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
We have to leave space for the unknown, for the version of us we haven't become yet. So we limit our growth, we limit what we can be when we are trying to swoop in with the answer because it makes us uncomfortable not to have an answer. And we build the trust. You know, the way we can grow our confidence as living beings, but especially as women, is to really build our spiritual confidence, to build the spiritual trust we have. Trust is a tough one. A lot of us have had experiences that really, you know, just run the entire spectrum of emotion of what some of us may have walked through, right? There could be different experiences of betrayal, of rejection, of not enoughness, of pain, of so many things, right? And so when we're in that standpoint, we learn to be resilient by also taking control and predicting outcomes. And then it becomes really hard to surrender that. It makes us feel unsafe. The more we practice, the more we ground. Even if you have to crack your eyes open because you're uncomfortable in the middle of a meditation, you're like, oh, I want to move, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Just open them, take a breath. Be with yourself, whatever that looks like. No one's watching, no one's judging. You're not going to get an A on it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Who's going to check you, right? Who's going to criticize you? And then just kind of, I like to have a rocking practice when I'm feeling a little chaotic. You know, some days are more stressful than others. Some days it's easy to turn your brain off. Some days you're fighting for your life to stop overthinking.
Yes.
And on those days, you can just kind of sit here with a sway. That's a meditation too.
I love that. That makes me think of like when I'm in church or like even in prayer and meditation time, where like you start feeling the spirit so much you start rocking. Like if you notice like certain things, you just start rocking. And I think there's something so beautiful about allowing your body to just be in the moment. And I think that that's an indelible practice that we just kind of experience for everybody here. Now, before we move through this, I really want to talk about wellness in definition. So we kind of the same thing. Is it the practice of showing yourself how to be well? How would we define wellness?
You know, it's so interesting because I think that is something that we're all kind of creating together for the first time.
Yeah.
You know, this is the first time as a civilization, as a modern civilization, we're prioritizing that. Meditation, a lot of the things that we just talked about, over 3,000 years old, right? It's ancient. But we forgot for centuries. And so, you know, wellness right now is being evaluated as, I think, a $4 trillion industry, but it encompasses literally everything under that title, because wellness is to feel well. For each of us, that's very different. So for some people, wellness represents like intense fitness. For some people, wellness is really about diet, or I'm, you know this, I'm that. Wellness as a whole, it's really a set of value systems that you're holding within yourself that support your desire to feel well.
Yeah.
When we come to spiritual practice, which for me is what upholds my pillars of wellness, it's considered that there are 5 pillars in wellness or holistic health, which is mental, physical, emotional, spiritual. Those are 4 pillars. And then there is a 5th kind of secret pillar of community. These are all the things that are meant to uphold what it is to be whole, what it is to be your full self, your highest self. Your mental, your physical, your emotional, your spiritual, and your community needs are met, are supported, are nourished, and are constantly evolving. So anything that you do that can support those things could be considered wellness.
Wow, I love that definition. It makes the practice of it a little less daunting and a little less like I don't even understand where to start. And I think LA, you know, as we're wrapping this up, LA has been a place where wellness, the practice of it is not new. Like even when we lived on the East Coast, I remember some of my friends, you know, almost making fun of the move to the West Coast and being like, oh, you're gonna be on green juice and you're just gonna walk everywhere and hike. But like
why? Yes, I want to live.
Right. But why do you think LA and wellness have had such a synonymous definition for a long time? Like when you think of LA, you think wellness, you think eating healthier, you think hiking, you think space. What about LA almost supports the wellness journey in a different way?
I think there are some places on the planet that just, whether it's the weather, you know, having access to a little more sunshine, scientifically it's proven that does stuff to our body, right? Like having connection to sunshine, to vitamin D, it just adds to the amount of like dopamines that our brain can get. It adds to our natural ability to be enthusiastic for life. So I think that's one, and I think it's just that really natural lifestyle of having pretty good weather year round, having access to also multiple terrains. This is my view of it. we have the ocean, right? We have the sand. We're close to the desert. We have desert here. We have mountains. We have snow. There's a lot of different we have forest. There's different kinds of natural experiences that you can connect to. I think sometimes it's a little more challenging in areas that have a deficit in diversity, because you're not as open to different perspectives, cultures, backgrounds, and places that have deficit to living green things that you can see easily. The more you have access to those kind of things, the easier it is to just naturally attune to a well lifestyle.
I love that. I love that. Okay, I ended the last interview. I ended that conversation with an affirmation. Okay. And so I want to wrap this part up with an affirmation for any of our viewers who might be struggling with their wellness journey or their confidence journey. If we give them an I am to take away with that, what would that be? I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know you're gonna have to think about it. But for anyone struggling with self-confidence or even just the wellness practice, what would you offer them?
I want to offer two things. The first would be an I am statement, and by nature, it's going to sound very simple, but it's one of the most powerful, shifting thoughts that you can invite into your life, which would be, I am in acceptance of myself and my life.
I am in acceptance of myself and my life.
To accept something doesn't mean that we don't want to change it. It doesn't mean that there isn't room to grow and there isn't more for us, because sometimes you could hear that and say, no, my life hurts right now. My life is hard right now. When we come into acceptance of what is, whether we like it or not, we are allowing ourselves to surrender into the truth of what's present, so that we can come back into choice and have options. So I am in acceptance of my life. It may not be everything you want it to be in this moment, but to accept that this moment is happening gives you power. To say, I accept myself, that brings you into such a deep layer of healing around anything that may have hurt you, anything that didn't get your consent, anything that felt harmful, that made you judge yourself or be against yourself. It is the balm for that. It is the cure for that. So even if they don't feel true at first, saying those phrases invites in that energy. I would also like to say for those that believe in higher power, I do, and I call my higher power God. A phrase that I love saying that I made up for myself many years ago in a tough time was, God, please show me the truth of who I am.
That's beautiful.
Said every day. Sometimes find a way to a mirror and look yourself in the eyes and say it. But God, please show me the truth of who I am. It's so outside of you and any judgment, any roles that you play, and it just opens you up to what's true and what's present.
I love this. I love this so much. I could do this with you all day. Unfortunately, we don't have all day. But Devi Brown, you are such a special human being. Thank you for allowing God to use you in this way. Thank you for answering your call. And thank you for the meditation experience today. And y'all, I hope you took away something as well. We got more to get into with Devi Brown and Ofune, so stay tuned.